Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players, uncover their stories, and discover what makes them tick. If you love guitar, music, and the backstory of people's lives, stick around. You're in the right place. The Be Fulfilled Journal helps you be more honest with yourself and with others and be more open to handling things you've avoided dealing with for years. It's a 12-week online and journal program that helps you identify and eliminate things you do that are causing you stress and live in more gratitude and joy. It was actually developed by a long-term friend of mine who got sober in 2008, and he's put together a great deal just for my listeners. You get the 300-page hardcover journal and access to the 12-week video program online, plus free shipping, plus membership in a private Facebook support group with others going through the program, plus a 5-day mini course showing you how to let go of stuff that's draining your energy, plus a 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. To start your journey and get all the bonuses, go to BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. That's BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. We got a great player, really experienced player with us today, and a super cool guy. And he's got like some of the best hair that of our age group. Although he doesn't.
Only they could see.
If only they could see. If I looked like Stef Burns, we'd be doing video. Put it that way. So we're with the one and only Stef Burns, originally from Oakland, California. Started playing his dad's guitar around 6 years old. Had his first band at age 9. That's pretty cool. Continued playing in various bands throughout high school, first doing classic rock covers and then evolving to 70s fusion stuff. In 1982, he got a job with Jessie Colin Young, formerly of the Youngbloods, and that led to a job with Pablo Cruz in 1983. He did one album with them called Out of Our Hands and a U.S. tour. 84 and 85, he played with Sheila E., playing funk written and produced by Prince across America, Japan, and Europe. He also played on 2 Sheila E. albums, Romance 1600 and Sheila E., and they were the opening act for Prince's Purple Rain tour. That had to be exciting, no?
Yeah, that was a great, great time. I had so many good memories. It was like kind of like a dream, you know? Yeah. And then learning a lot about funk music from one of the masters, Prince, you know? And Sheila's an exceptional person and badass herself in so many ways.
Very cool, man. 86, 87, Stef played with Berlin and toured again throughout America, Japan, and Europe while they had the hit Take My Breath Away from the film Top Gun. In 1988, he toured with Michael Bolton, and in that band there was Jonathan Cain on keyboards and Ross Valerie on bass, both from Journey. In 89, Stef joined Y&T, and he recorded 4 albums with them. 10, Yesterday and Today Live, Musically Incorrect, and Endangered Species. On a recommendation from Joe Satriani in early 91. That just sounds so cool. Oh, Joe recommend. Is that like an instant like?
I owe a lot to Joe, man. You know, I had only met him a few times. He had heard me play and just threw my name in for Alice Cooper's record. You know, and that led to a lot of different things. You know,
that's great, man. I had him on the show recently. He's a really nice guy, and I give him credit because he at the end of the interview goes, I'm really shy. I said, I know. I said, and thank you very much. Because these are not easy questions when you're shy, you know? And it was good. He goes, I'm just a complicated mix of, this and that and the other thing, like most artists.
Yeah, it's true. He's definitely complicated, but he's a genius. He's a genius in a lot of ways. He's such an amazing guitar player and a super guy,
Very cool guy, man.
Always great to meet people like that.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So Joe recommended Stef to Alice Cooper in early 91, and then Stef got the call, met with Alice. And did you have an audition for that, or?
No, I sent a cassette tape of some stuff that I had done. I had another group called The View, which was with a bunch of other Bay Area guys, but they were all great, like Ross Valerie again from Journey, and Prairie Prince from the Tubes, and Todd Rundgren, and Kevin Chalfant, Tim Gorman. We had this group, and I had a couple of recordings of that I sent to Bob Pfeiffer, A&R at Epic Records. And I sent him some Y&T thing, and I sent him some of my own stuff from my record, and he said, you'd be great for Alice's record. And that was it. I went to Woodstock, New York to record to record Hey Stupid with Alice Cooper and Peter Collins producing. And it was like another great thing. So,
was that at Bearsville Studios by any chance?
It was just up the street from Bearsville Studios.
Yeah.
It was the other one. I forget what it was called. Unless I'm wrong. Sometimes,
it's a long time ago.
My hair may be great, but my
I feel you, man. All right. So, Stef played for Alice on Hey Stupid and The Last Temptation. They toured around the world and in America with Judas Priest and Motorhead. They also had a part in the hit film Wayne's World. Stef played with Alice from 91 to 95 and again in 98. He's always got like the greatest guitar players. They toured South America on the Monsters of Rock tour with Ozzy, Megadeth, and Faith No More. Man, do you have any like funny Motorhead stories?
Oh man, every day was kind of another story, But I didn't really chat too much with Lemmy, who was to me was kind of like what do we say in Italy? They say un idolo, mito. Sometimes I confuse my Italian with English right now. An idol, amazing. Just someone I respected so much. But I hit it off better with Wurzel, the guitar player.
Really?
Yeah, rest in peace, man. They lost a lot of guys in that band, but. So Wurzel was just great, and they were just a lot of fun. Filthy Animal Taylor. Just they didn't care about anything. They just went up there and kicked ass every night and were just mellow yet rowdy.
Was Lemmy like a big guy physically? Because he always looked like, when you see him on TV, a big presence.
He was medium big guy, always seemed like he was in really good shape, but he also wore cowboy boots that were pretty tall. Yeah. So that, sometimes the hat as well, he has a big presence.
Yeah, super big presence.
Yeah.
Since 96, Stef has been recording and touring in Italy with an Italian artist named Vasco Rossi, who I just found out set the he's a Guinness World Record holder for the most amount of concert tickets sold in one fell swoop. And Stef said it was 6 nights of 70,000 a night.
That's coming up now. Yeah. The record was, most tickets sold by one artist in one concert, because there's always festivals that maybe did better. No, but this is just one concert, one night, one guy, 220 something thousand tickets. And, this year, another record for most consecutive nights at San Siro Stadium in Milan,
that's crazy, man.
It is crazy, man. He's just he's got his Italian public, dialed in.
Hey, man, great gig for you. Glad you have it.
It's been a great gig.
And he's also played with Huey Lewis in the News since 2000. Of course, Huey's got an inner ear condition right now that makes it difficult to hear pitch with any kind of music. So hopefully, and any word on that?
Right now, he fluctuates, goes up and down, and he still goes to see all the greatest doctors in the country, and they're still giving him some hope. But it's one of those things where there's no easy cure, but they're also saying it's not saying that it's going to get worse either. Yeah. So it's just kind of a wait and see, do the best you can, and he tries to keep a very good positive attitude. So we're hoping to get back on the road. Sometime soon.
Well, Bob Seger, I know the guys in Seger's band, and they had a big tour, and boom, they all get a call from management, tour's canceled because he had back problems, and they didn't know, and all of a sudden, then he cranked it back up. It was about 9, maybe a year, but now he's finishing the tour, and they're doing fine. So hopefully the same thing will happen with Huey, man.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I'm sure he does too.
Stef's also worked with producers including Narada Michael Walden, Quincy Jones, Mark Russo, formerly of the Yellow Jackets. He's also performed with Stevie Wonder, Steve Winwood, James Taylor, Sheryl Crow, Nile Rodgers, and again, Narada. And in 2004, he joined Joe Satriani again, Steve Vai, and Robert Fripp to jam on a couple of songs at the G3 concert in Rome, Italy. Stef's second album was a duo collaboration with a great player we had here on the show, Peppino D'Agostino. It was entitled Bayshore Road. You guys had a #1 hit in Italy on that, didn't you?
Oh, not on that record. And it wasn't #1. But the truth of that statement is that we had co-written together, along with Vasco Rossi, a song for him.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what it was. It was called Stammi Vicino. Vasco wrote the lyrics and the title. And it was based off originally a song that Peppino had, an instrumental song. and it was called Goodbye Robbie, I think. No, not Goodbye Robbie. It was another one. Anyway, a beautiful song by Pepino, and then we put like a chorus on there and a bridge and made it into a rock song.
Very cool.
Big rock ballad, and so that was a nice thing, man.
What does that mean? That title that you said?
Oh, Stami Vicino means stay near me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It always sounds like really advanced stuff.
Yeah, if you translate stuff, it just sounds like it because they have more syllables than we do. Also,
it sounds like you're saying something like out of a Wikipedia or Encyclopedia Britannica or something. You know, or you never. This is like way off topic. When I was a kid, I grew up in the Bronx, and we'd get high at night. I know, like for research purposes only, and we'd get the munchies, and we'd go into the Chinese takeout. And like you'd ask him for an egg roll, and it would seem like the guy turns around and reads the Magna Carta off in Chinese, and it was terrible. We wind up laughing because we were so fucking high. Terrible. Anyway, more stupid stories. Stef's third album, which was released in 2008, called World Universe Infinity, features an even bigger group of musicians, including Huey Lewis, Bill Champlin, who I think is coming on here, Lyle Workman, who was on the show, Abe Laboriel Jr. Man, you pulled out the guns here. Peppino D'Agostino again, Jeff Babco, Jeff Campitelli, and others. This is a major team. Yeah, I mean, the guys like Abe Laboriel Jr., Jimmy Johnson, and Babco came on board on a song that Lyle we did together that he produced for me. So when I have that song, it's awesome. Oh, right on. Yeah. What's Cordy? What is it? Man. It's called Mepu Cordy, which is not Italian, but that came from because the original title came from another song that the co-writers were Italian, and they were doing something that was a benefit where they were raising money to build wells in Africa, in villages that don't have water. That's cool. And so that started from that. And Mepu Kori means he who feeds the hungry in Maasai, I think. But being in LA, of course, man, I'm working with Lyle. He's just got his Rolodex full of stuff. He was like, well, do you want Vinny Colaiuta or do you want World Jr.? And I'm like, dude, man, I love them both. Yeah. Abe's available, and Abe and Jimmy together just playing their butts off, and me and Lyle got to then solo together. And, you guys take you do one, I think, then he does one or something. Yeah. What a great track, man. Yeah, thank you. I love that track, and I love that I got to work with Lyle, who's been, started off as just one of my friends and a guy that used to come into my gigs and with Narada, like at in San Francisco. And then became one of my favorite artists. I put him right up there with, when I listened to Jeff Beck or Steely Dan or Return to Forever or Lyle Workman. His album's right in there, man. No, he's brilliant. My inspiration. It was so funny when I interviewed him, and I should say thanks to Lyle because he connected us. When I interviewed him, it was so weird for me because I remember the day I sat with I have two older boys, and we sat and watched Superbad. And I remember all I wanted to know is who's doing this music. And it was just one of the greatest soundtracks I've ever heard, if not the greatest. And the credits come up at the end, I'm like, Lyle Workman. I'm like, sounds like a white dude. What the hell? How does all this funk music? And that was it, filed away. Fast forward, however many years later, it was like, it was really weird. You just like, it's probably happened to you when you've grown up listening to somebody and then you're like on stage with them. Yeah, that happened a little bit with Alice. But one more thing about Lyle and Superbad is you maybe if you saw a documentary or you must have talked about it too, he got all the cats together. Yeah, he did. All the greatest soul and funk cats to make that soundtrack, and that's why it's so good. It's amazing, man. It's just, the whole thing was incredible. But so this is a great record. And then say the name of that single again, because I want people to go listen to that. Stami Vicino. Stami with two M's. Stammi. Right. And Vicino is spelled like Vicino. Vicino. Okay. And the one you did with Lyle, that I want people. That's a total guitar. Mepukori. Mepukori. Mepukori.
Yeah, I could choose easier titles like The Wind or Car. But instead I Mepukori.
MEPUKORI. If you're on, I'm assuming it's on any of the streaming services.
Yeah, I would assume. I haven't checked it, but yeah. I mean, if you look for it, for sure you'll find it on YouTube, if nowhere else. You know,
it's a great track. It's got, and Stef spells his name Stef Burns, Burns.
Yeah.
Then in May of 2011, Stef and Italian TV star, I don't want to mess her name up, Maddalena Corvaglia.
Yeah, pretty good.
Were married by Vasco Rossi, and then they got divorced in 2018, and they have a 7-year-old daughter, and Stef currently lives in Milan, Italy, raising his daughter together with her mom. And since then, or lately, Stef's been mostly concentrating on his family and working on live shows in Italy. And he's got new music on the. All right, we're going public with this. New music on. This is like, you get a Weight Watchers and say, next week I'm going to have a pound off.
Hey, now I've got to do it. Now I've got to finish this record.
Yeah, you're on, and then finish it and come on here and launch it, man. And we'll have like a short episode to premiere it and to promote it.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, do that, man, for sure.
Thanks.
And that's the wonderful Stef Burns, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure indeed.
Okay, so I had my first question was you started working with Vasco back in 1996. When did you move to Italy permanently, and what prompted that move? But I would imagine prompted the move is getting hooked up with your ex.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of went there and back, as far as moving. But I playing with Vasco starting in 95 was the first time I came. And I recorded with him, just to go back a little bit, because the recommendation of Joe Satriani, they got me playing with Alice Cooper. They heard me on Alice Cooper's Hey Stupid and called me to play on their record, also in LA, the Vasco Rossi record. He was recording using guys like Vinnie Colaiuta, Greg Bissonette, and Michael Landau, and just all the top LA guys. And they called me down to play on a couple songs on the record. And then that was in 1993. So from then on, I started going to Italy. Every year going to Italy and really becoming more and more, a part of it, and became more a part of my life, Italy. And permanent move happened when I got married. And that was in 2011, though we were still going back and forth to the Bay Area and Italy. But then we moved to LA in 2016 and then moved back to Italy 2018. And, that's where we are right now. So that was the permanent move. The real permanent move is right now. Since my daughter is going to school here, there's not as much back and forth,
That's cool.
And when the kids are littler, it's easier. You can travel a lot, and all the way even into preschool. But then as soon as you hit kindergarten and first grade, it's like you got to plant yourself somewhere,
Yeah, you do. You can pull them out of school for here and there, but you can't be like going away for a month or something like that.
No, exactly. I mean, some people do that. A lot of people do, and maybe there's a way, but that didn't sit well, I don't think, with her mom and I. We wanted to, have her in one place. So Milan won over Los Angeles.
Very cool, man. What's the biggest differences between living in Italy and living here in the States, or specifically in the Bay Area where you were?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can just say, being an American, you grew up someplace and you sort of get to know how things go.
Yeah.
You move to another place, and besides the differences that are there, it's just the learning curve, and now not only for me, I think the biggest difference was not moving from the United States to Italy, but moving from the suburbs to a city.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's like, wow, trams and traffic and apartments, not a house, and all these kinds of things are very, very different.
Really different.
I get around on a bicycle and a little push scooter more than a car. Because
of traffic and parking and all that stuff.
Exactly. It's insane.
It's like New York City, man.
You go to do your grocery shopping and you're there and you're sort of these older Italian ladies that'll just push their way to the prosciutto and push you out of the way. Excuse me, ma'am? She's like, no, I'm just going for the prosciutto, of course, in Italian. And so they have a different sense of space here, I notice very often. When you're standing in line, and there may not be anybody behind the person behind you, but that person is right up on your back.
Really?
So I'm kind of like, hey, man, it's like I'm all for brotherly love, but how about personal space, you know, can you give me like another couple inches? So I'm getting used to that. And, you know, people kind of brush up and bump into you. And I think it's just because they're more relaxed about it. It's no big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, it's not violent. It's not an invasion. But Americans tend to be, including myself, we're a little bit more.
There's a definite boundary, physical. Yeah.
For me, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But, instead, I kind of got used to that too. And there's a real warm feeling about it. And I find a lot of similarities between Americans and Italians. And that's because I think that's why we've always had that connection. You know, I mean, Americans always, well, we have a lot of Italians, obviously, in the States, but also we're always infatuated or fascinated by Italy. We want to go there. And the same thing for them, for us. I mean, their dream is to come to California and Miami and New York. And for us, it's like, oh, I want to go to Venice and Rome. And so it's nice to be living here. And I have a lot of nice friends here, and I mean, a lot of beautiful people. And so I'm, you know, just trying to get used to the traffic and the parking.
Yeah, that can be. So how long did it take you to, because you sound like you're pretty fluent.
Sono abbastanza fluente in italiano, ma non sono bravissimo, però mi prende in giro mia figlia sempre, which I said was,
that's so
I'm
cool.
Pretty good at Italian, but my daughter makes fun of me all the time.
Because she's like perfect in it.
She's perfectly, yeah. So whenever I speak wrong, you know, she's like, Dad, just speak English. Don't even try.
You know, it's really funny. When you started talking, you immediately started talking with your hands. Like the first word that came out of your mouth, that's like a thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely expressive with their hands very often, and body language. And, you know, it's cool because sometimes you can say a lot without saying a word. I mean, we have it nonverbal. Sometimes you just go like, and this means like, what the heck are you saying? Who do you think I am? You know, when you shake your hand like that. So it's really cool. I like it. I mean, I miss home, you know, but trying to make this my home now, you know.
Well, man, you know, I think anybody who's gone through divorce, I know I can speak for myself. I did. There's adjustments that you got to make that are really abnormal, that you have no frame of reference with, that are uncomfortable, that don't seem to get any more comfortable over time. You just get used to it, you know, and that's what I felt when I had mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it definitely is a process looking for your comfort zone. You know, I have not been settled yet, really settled.
Well, for me, there was no comfort zone. It was like, this sucks. I just have to get, you know, you get used to the emotional pain because that's what it is. And you just figure out a way, okay, this is the state. I can look at the glass half full or half empty. In this state, what do I want to do? You know, and it takes a while for me anyway, it took a while to say, well, I'm going to look at it half full.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I always try to look at it half full, but then it's just kind of dealing with that, that sort of nagging anxiety and pain that is kind of, you know, always bad company, but always your company.
Yeah.
And but I definitely have gotten a lot better at really just enjoying the present moment and appreciating life for all the good things I have. And so lucky to have my daughter, so lucky to have a career, having good friends, have my health. I mean, that's a pretty good list. So
yeah, man.
Other than that, I can deal with anything.
Good, man. Hey, I want to talk about some of the artists you've played with, and if you could share some of them you have already, how you got the gig or any cool or interesting story about working with them. And let's start with Sheila E. Talk briefly about that.
Well, that came out of the Bay Area. Sheila's a Bay Area gal.
Oh.
And I had some other friends in the band, and then someone probably mentioned my name. She called me up, and I did an audition there at SIR at San Francisco. And I don't remember if that day I actually had to dance or not, but there certainly was a lot of dancing in that band. I mean, our whole set was choreographed from beginning to end.
That's difficult. That's not easy.
It was something, man. I mean, we were like, you know, kind of like Prince and the Revolution.
Yeah.
Modeled after that, but we were a little bit more wild, you know, because it was more of a band. Prince was more him as the focal point. Sheila was too, but we had a lot of role in that. And it was like the perfect weight loss program tour. I mean, we had to consume calories just to keep up, because I remember the rehearsals were like 10 hours a day of dancing, singing, and playing all day long.
Crap.
And then the tour was like a big sweat fest. You know, you need potassium and magnesium and stuff to keep going.
That's cool, man. Any funny stories from that gig?
one thing that was kind of funny is I had a crush on Sheila's little sister. Now she's listening right now.
You're single.
Yeah. No, she knew it too.
All sorts of shit happens on this show, man. You'll be getting a Facebook message later.
Okay, I don't want to mention her name, Zena Escovedo, but and now we're friends. We don't see each other because she's still in the Bay Area and I'm over here. But every once in a while, we'll send messages on Facebook, the social media stuff. But I always liked Zena, little Zena, man. She's amazing. But the only real, I mean, I just have great memories about that, and it was a great mix. The band was just like a cultural mix too. It was Mexican, Black, White, Indonesian group. We were all in there, and learning a lot from Prince.
How about Alice? You got that from Satriani. Any cool rock and roll stories from that tour?
Everything is cool about Alice Cooper. I got to tell you. I mean, talk about a guy that was easy to work with, ego in check, would every once in a while talk about himself, but usually only if it was something really interesting or if somebody asked him. Otherwise, he's just kind of there hanging out. That's one of the guys. Yeah. He knows he's Alice Cooper. He knows he's cooler than anything in the world. And he keeps doing it. Man, he's just a great guy. I love Alice. And he's a guy. At one point, I was the musical director. And every time I'd ask him, hey, you need anything? How's the mix? All is good? Guitar parts, everything good? Drums, do you like everything? And he's like, no, it's good. I'm good. It's like, all right. Let's go have dinner and have a show, That's cool, man. Yeah, he's awesome.
I've interviewed a lot of guitarists who play from. Everybody says the same thing, that he's really it's a great gig, good to work with, and high quality music, high quality guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I was sad to leave it, and I had to choose between Vasco Rossi and Alice Cooper. And I chose Vasco because in that moment, 1996, he had a lot of gigs with Vasco, and it was this giant thing in Italy. And at that point, Alice had, we only got about 8 gigs the rest of the year, and Vasco had 35. By the time Alice was starting to build up more momentum and do more work, but it was all right. It was a good choice in the end. You always kind of missed the gigs that you had to say goodbye to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Especially when I moved back to LA, I was thinking, or back to California and living in LA, I thought, man, it would be so cool to have the Alice Cooper gig again now. But didn't work out. And it would have clashed with the Vasco schedule in the summer every year anyway.
Right. Hey, Quincy Jones, what'd you do with Quincy?
Quincy, it's funny, that's even in the bio. It was one gig. It was with Narada Michael Walden and Quincy at the same time. Probably happened from 2 different angles. I think it was a corporate gig in San Francisco for Lexus.
Wow, you need Lexus money to get Narada and Quincy Jones.
Lexus is getting Quincy Jones to do that. I mean, everybody does corporate gigs. You probably know about that.
Yeah, of course.
The Eagles, you give them $1 million and they would do your corporate gig. Yeah. Paul McCartney probably did them. And basically, the only fun thing about Quincy Jones was, for me, it was just like, wow, this is just out of this world. I couldn't believe it. And we're all playing. We're kind of down in the pit. He's on stage talking about cars. And at one point, he kind of leans down to me. And I wish I could remember the phrase, but he did not like my tone. He wanted something, and I can't remember the term he used. It was something like brown or fuzz or something to describe the rockish sound, but from a guy that comes from the 1940s and 50s,
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he still used that when he was talking to Steve Lukather in the studio on a Michael Jackson record. Whatever the sound was, anyway, Narada had to explain to me what Quincy was trying to say to me, that it was either too fuzzy or not fuzzy enough.
Okay, that's funny, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him if you can. I'll ask Narada if you can tell me what was the word that Quincy Jones used to describe fuzz tone. Let's see if I can find out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Did you see that documentary about him, Quincy, on Netflix?
No, but everybody told me to see it.
It's pretty good.
I'll check it out. Yeah,
I didn't really know much about his background. I didn't know. I mean, first of all, the guy's work ethic. He makes me look lazy, and I'm like a humper, man. I couldn't believe his. There's a cost of that, clearly, but
right.
I just didn't know how much he had his hands in and all the stuff he had going on. It was pretty impressive.
Man, you got to be really driven. I would like to have a little more of that.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, man, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to have too much of it could be a curse, but I like to push myself a little bit more because I got some stuff to do.
I got a boot camp coming up May 30th. Just kidding.
All right, I'm heading over, man. Where are you now? You're in Florida, right?
I'm in Tampa. Yeah.
All right, man. I got cousins in Tampa.
But dude, hit me up next time you're coming down. We'll hang.
I will.
Satriani and Vi.
That was just, thanks to my good buddy who also lives in Benicia, California, where I live too when I'm in California. Drummer Jeff Campitelli.
Yeah.
He was playing with Joe at the time and played with Joe for years and years and years. And he said, "Hey man, we'll be in Rome." And I was in Rome at the time. And he said, "Sometimes Joe likes to have people come up and sit in. And would you like to do it?" I said, "Sure, I would."
That's so cool.
And I was completely petrified, man. And they said, "Just come on up. We're going to do some kind of a jam, and then we'll keep on rocking in the free world." And so the jam thing was really neat, something that Steve I had put together. And so that was it, man. I just went up there and I just said, "Whatever you do, Steph, don't try to play fast."
Man, you're a great player, though, man. You're of that ilk that you could hang with him any day. I mean, yeah, man.
No, I don't think so.
No, I mean, I could see, yeah.
But I just feel like I felt confident enough to say, all right, you're a good enough player and you can do whatever you do. All right.
Yeah,
I'll do what I do. And I'll find some little melodies and some phrases and some riffs to play when it was my turn to solo. But I'm trading fours with Joe and Steve, and they're got both their hands on the guitar and they're tapping and they're muffling and they're harmonicizing and they're flying all over. And so I just kind of did a little, just sort of a fusion-y kind of a thing. But I was equally petrified and overjoyed, and they're the sweetest guys in the world. And talk about a guy who's, one of the greatest players of all time, Steve Vai, is so encouraging for other guitar players. He still does that. You're up there jamming with Steve Vai, he's going to make you comfortable.
That's
and he
cool.
did that for me then, and I've seen it now at Vi Camp. I've watched his whole thing. He did this long Vi Camp, and he's turned out to be a very special guy for me too, because we had a lot of talks about not guitars. He likes to get into the spiritual side of things. He likes to get into living well inside yourself, being true to yourself, finding your authentic self. And that he was really a big help for me. And he's always been just a true sweetheart. I
got him coming on the show in a few weeks, and someone's, I think, someone said to me, "Don't worry if Joe's bashful. Steve's like 180 degrees opposite to that. You won't have any lack of conversation with Steve. So I'm looking forward to that."
The thing I love about it is interesting. He's not at all. He's like the opposite of a boring guy too. But he's real comfortable to talk about stuff that he knows about, and I love him for that.
I mean, I think you said something. I just want to point it out to all the players listening. You said I was comfortable. I didn't try to do anything other than what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important statement for people that are playing with others than they feel intimidated.
No doubt about it. I mean, there's times to expand and improvise and create new sounds, but not on stage.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit. If you're really, if you're someone, I'm going to go play clubs and just do whatever comes up and doesn't really matter. But if you're performing and you want it to come out well, do what you do best within a certain thing. And especially when you're there up against, even Robert Fripp, he was doing something that like from outer space, and I love him. And Joe and Steve, so great. So do what you do.
Fripp has a did you know he's got like a book on mindset and philosophy, or a whole program that he had.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the name of it. It's called, because I had a couple of guys who studied under him. If you just to make a note of it, if you're interested, it's called We Begin Where We Are. The website is dgmlive.com. We begin where we are. It's like a a lengthy course on head stuff. So it's supposed to be pretty good. So
that too.
Any wild stories from your days at Y&T?
Wild stories. Well, I'm honestly relatively tame, guys. I mean, I liked women.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just about trying to hook up with ladies.
Yeah.
So nothing really wild, because getting super drunk or doing a bunch of drugs was never really my thing. So I was relatively tame, I think, but always loved women. Yeah. And I think it was always based around that.
Who doesn't?
Well, I have quite a few friends that are not into women, but that's another.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you're into women, it's like, and you're in a rock band.
Yeah, I think it's super, 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 super male, super, super common hetero male.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you get into a band, I mean, that was also, when you get girls starting to notice you, it's like, okay, I get it. I didn't start playing guitar because of that.
Yeah.
I was playing because my dad played, and I was, of course, too young. And even at 9 years old, 10 years old, but puberty hits, and then you're in high school, and you're still this unknown nerd, this skinny guy with long hair, and I wasn't a jock, and I wasn't cool. And then we played in the Quad, and we did like some songs by Montrose and Ted Nugent, and we did the Tubes, White Punks on Dope. And
that's a good song.
All the girls come over and go, "Hey, man, you're pretty cool. That was really neat." I'm like, "Yeah,
I got to do another one of these."
Doing?
How old were you then?
Right then, I'm about 15, 16.
Yeah, I could see that being heaven for a 15-year-old.
I was like, "Ooh, okay, so girls now." Yeah,
very cool, man. Hey, you've done so much stuff. What would you say, if it's possible to even measure it, what would be like your knee-jerk reaction to the top 3 experiences that you've had?
Oh, man. You know what comes to mind, because I'm still here in Italy and everything, was the first time I played with Vasco Rossi in 1995. And I still didn't even know how big this guy was. People were telling me, but you don't really get it until all of a sudden you get on stage at San Siro Stadium. And the place is going nuts. And they told me 80,000. I don't know how many people really, but let's just say there was 75,000 people. And then there was, before that, cell phones were a big deal. And when a ballad would come on, they were just using cigarette lighters. Mm-hmm. So here I am, man. Yeah. Cigarette lighters and ballads and singing in the stadium. And I went, oh man, every word. They're screaming every word. They're crying in the front. And I'm looking at, I really sort of stumbled onto a phenomenon there. And so that feeling of being on that stage with him, with Vasco in 95, was one of my top. Other ones are usually about the first time when you do something. So even dating back to Jessie Colin Young, when I got my first gig, and I forget if we had a tour bus. So that's my first time on a tour bus. And then with Pablo Cruz in 83, tour bus. Wow, this is rock and roll, man. A tour bus. And the smell of the diesel and the smell of the vinyl cover on the couches in the front lounge, all those things and every once in a while I'll get on a bus, with Huey Lewis or something, I'll flash back.
That's cool.
Yeah. And also maybe being on stage with Alice Cooper and playing $1 Billion Babies, when I remember being in my cousin's attic.
Yeah.
And playing $1 Billion Babies with him, and watching the drummer. My cousin was a drummer for a little bit, and he was going boom, ba, ba, boom, ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba, boom, and I'm learning the song, and we were 12 or something, or 13. So that was pretty cool.
When you first played with Vasco, was it hard? Was it more challenging learning songs where it's not in English, like, because you can't really hang on to the melody through the words, which makes it a lot easier.
Well, luckily, once you get the structure down, then it's pretty cool. But the part that was difficult was that their structures often were different from a standard American structure, the ones that I was used to. So I would think, okay, so 2 times on the verse and then once on the chorus. Instead, they would go 3. So it was a little bit odd. There was things that were 3 times around, or 6 instead of 2, 4, and 8. And so in that moment, I had to try to find some vowel sounds, because I still wasn't speaking Italian. So I just find, like, when he would say, like, some open vowel sound, that means one, or I got to count. So that was the only challenge with it.
Which is tough when you're on stage and you're thinking, I got to count. I mean, that's not easy at all, man.
Yeah. And the one time when I made a mistake, I learned to make sure that would never happen again. You're in a stadium, and I went past, he went to the chorus section. I didn't change. And And he looked over at me like, dude, you got to fix this, because there's only about 75,000 people watching. That's a bad moment. So yeah, I learned to try not to make mistakes. So that is challenging.
You grew up in Walnut Creek, you mentioned. What was your childhood like?
It was great. It was really great. I mean, Walnut Creek, we just would do like a lot of people that talk about, their growing up in the 60s and 70s. Cul-de-sac, staying up late, playing hide and seek when it's like, 9 o'clock, and all you have to do is lay down in the shadow behind a tree. No one can see you. Right? That was something that was so great. Making skateboard ramps and bicycle ramps on the street, stealing fruit from your neighbor's trees. So many good things.
That's
getting the
cool,
cops
man.
Called on you because you're practicing in the garage because your neighbor's calling the cops, and then getting egg cartons and your dad helping you to insulate the garage, and then the neighbor still calls the cops. These are the bad memories.
That's really cool.
In the garage all the time.
That sounds like it was really positive, really good.
Yeah, it was positive times. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm lucky to have that. That's what I wish for every kid, is to have a happy childhood. People talk about how you're going to bring up your kids and what's important. It comes down to that. Happy childhood doesn't matter the details.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
What kind of work did your folks do?
My dad was a psychologist.
Oh, wow.
He was a great psychologist, in my opinion, and he did a lot of group therapy work and couples therapy and meditation and Eastern philosophy teachings and stuff like that. And he was a great guy. Loved birds, loved music, loved Ray Charles, and my mom was a nurse. My parents got divorced when I was about 10 years old, and that's when she went to nursing school and became a nurse. And
that's really cool that your mom did that. That's not easy, especially back then. That wasn't like, not that it was ages ago, but even still, things were different. For a woman to go do that, she had to have a lot of balls, man. That's really freaking cool.
No, she was like, okay, I'm an independent. She became really strong at that point. I mean, up until then, right? She was a housewife.
Yeah.
So, okay, now dad's out of the picture. And so I got the 4 kids living with me. I got to get a job. She would go to night school, when we were sleeping, get a babysitter to go over. And so she did it. And
wow, that's really impressive, man.
She had a tough job. She was the nurse at the jail.
Holy shit.
And so she worked at a couple of days, Contra Costa County Jail, and then another, what they call low risk, I forget what they call it, drug prisoners, non-violent, contention center, I forget the word. Anyway, but she would, because there was a lot of drug users and heroin addicts and people in there that had ruined their veins. See, I got good veins.
Yeah, you do. It's funny. All your pictures, I lift weights, so I always notice shit like that. And I'm like, dude, this guy's so vascular. I see you with your guitar. I'm like, are you lifting or something? Or is that just your physiology?
Well, I've always had it. I try to go to the gym and, and stay in the best shape I can,
right.
Especially now that I have a 7-year-old daughter. I want to be able to pick her up as long as I can.
Sure.
And I want to be able to have my back upright,
Yeah.
So I try to stay in shape, but the veins were in there. My dad had them, and so I have them.
Yeah.
And so look at my arm sometimes, and she would go, "Ooh, I can get blood from you," so because she's dealing with these heroin addicts and she can't get a vein.
Oh my God! Yeah, they don't have any veins left. Yeah. Wow, that's funny, man. You know what's going to happen at some point? Well, you have a girl. My oldest is 29, and so he'll come over. He'll pick me up now, and it's really funny. He's a big, strong kid, so it's quite funny now. Tuition. We all, make mistakes in our career and pay tuition. I was wondering if you might be kind enough, Stef, to share 1 or 2 mistakes you might have made early on, and what did you learn from that? One of them you mentioned is like a couple of minutes ago, something like, I learned don't do that mistake again when you're with Vasco.
Yeah, really try to make sure that, even if you're not playing the best you ever played, don't have any train wrecks, on stage, so do everything you can to make sure that the thing is at least held together and that you don't really make a big mistake that everybody will hear and everyone will know, and your boss will be mad and all that. Major like mistakes or regrets or things like that?
No, not necessarily regrets, just like actual mistakes you made musically or career wise. Or, I learned, like sometimes guys will say, a common one is, it's really weird. You have two opposite sides of players. You have the one guys that are like, know from day one somehow over prepare. And then you have other guys that, that's a common mistake that, I wasn't prepared enough. I thought I got this gig. I thought I was big shit. And then I realized, oh my God, I really needed to prepare more. That's often something I hear.
Yeah, that would be good. That's always a good one for sure. Yeah. I never have found the problem where it's like, there is a moment when your band gets a little bit tired after a lot of rehearsing, like a month, but I've never, now I've I get it more now. If there's something to work on to play again, it's because, you're tired of the song. You played it 10 times already in the last 2 days. You're like, okay, just play it again. And there's somebody in the band that needs to work on something maybe, if it's not you or it is you, But generally, I think I can't think of anything really because and there's so many or nothing really big as far as I think I've been pretty good at knowing my place. I see other people make mistakes that I learned from, and I was able to avoid making those mistakes. Sort of like guys that are too. If you're a leader of a band, you can be as opinionated and as bossy as you want. If you're working for somebody else, you got to know, is this a band or am I a hired gun?
You're a sideman.
Sideman.
Yeah.
And if you're a sideman or a hired gun, then you do whatever your boss wants because it's a band. Unless he's asking for something, you can always offer ideas and stuff. And if you get the idea that your ideas are welcome and he likes them, you can keep on doing that. If you get the idea that they're not, then shut the fuck up and do your job. And I got really good at that. I was really good to just know my place, step out there when it's my time, and step back when it's not your time. Yeah. Don't think that you're the hottest shit in the world, except when it is your moment to be that.
Right.
Okay, now it's your feature. You go out there and do your thing. And I think you interviewed Joel Hoekstra too, right?
Yeah. I think he also turned me on to you, Joel.
Yeah, in fact, I first got your contact from Joel. He's another one of those guys that's just like gets it.
He's a total professional, that dude.
Total pro, man. He goes out there and Cher will push him out there, or David Coverdale, and when it's his moment, man, he's the biggest rock star in the world. And another time, it's time to lay back, and artists love that. And they want you to work with them because they know that you get it. And I'm lucky enough to have at least moments where you are allowed to go step out there. So many gigs where it's like, no, you're going to be on the back line. You're standing here. This is your riser. You do not step down from the riser, or you do not step away from this, this place.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's a good kind of a gig too. But I would be a little bit like, man, I want to get out there and play.
Sure. Especially as a lead player.
Yeah, I think that's I'm lucky that Vasco and Huey, in the last 20 years and more, I've been able to have a gig where I'm not just a part of an orchestra, which and I always admire those people, but I just feel fortunate that I'm able to have some kind of expression to guitar soloing and things like that.
Where did you learn that? Because you mentioned Joel, it's funny because people, a common question, what's your favorite interview? I don't really have a favorite interview. It's kind of like I asked Joe, Satriani, what was your favorite song? He goes, my favorite song is what I'm working on now. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, that was good because that kind of like how I feel. It's all, a body of stuff, creative stuff. So, but I asked Joel, one thing about Joel, he sticks out of my mind. And I can't articulate how, but his professionalism, just the way he handles himself. But his mom, if I remember correctly, was an opera singer. So he kind of grew up in the business.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his mom was and I think his dad might have had something in entertainment. I'm not sure, but I know his mom was a professional opera singer. Where did you get, how did you know, okay, this is, because I hear that a lot, guys, that's a lesson a lot of people learn where they, I thought I thought it was my gig. I thought, oh, people are paying to see me, and I soon realized they are not, and I realized that in a painful way. But it sounds like you kind of like had that understanding. I think
it kind of happened naturally. If I'm thinking back, even in the groups I had in high school, we had this Dave Matthews, well, not Dave Matthews, the super famous one, but the medium famous one, who's an incredible piano player, keyboard player, played with Etta James for years, and has been played with Tower of Power, and has been playing with Santana now.
Oh, wow.
Years. He goes by David K. Matthews on Facebook, but we always knew him as Dave Matthews. I think he changed it because there was another Dave Matthews that became a little bit famous. But
it's like Joe K. Walsh. You ever heard of that guy?
Oh, yeah.
He's like a mandolin player, or I think.
Yeah, but not Joe Walsh.
Right.
And so playing with and you had a great singer and this drummer who was Mitch Silva, and Dave Matthews and Sonny Fitman. And it was like you got all these guys in there, and you kind of already I understood even in high school that a band is great because it's a band. And that's it. When it's your moment to do your thing as a guitar player, that's it. Your role as a guitar player in the band. And I kind of just got that. Then when I started getting hired, I think they also hired me for that. And so it just was reinforcing what I already knew. You got to know your role, you got to know your place, and it kind of happened naturally. I mean, also there's a little bit of shyness as well, too. I don't, I'm not the kind of guy that needs to push my ego out there, or I need to be in front of anybody. But I love when I have my moment to do that.
Sure.
And sometimes I would get uncomfortable. Then maybe the set list, like with Huey, every once in a while we would have like, I Want a New Drug, Jacob's Ladder, and something else, where each one had a long featured guitar solo. And it's like, dude, you got like 3 featured guitar solos in a row. And he's like, he didn't really care. Had something, he's thinking of the set list that it works and other things. And so I would just go with it. But I felt uncomfortable. I mean, also knowing that 99.99% of the people out there are there to see Huey.
Right.
99.9% or maybe 100% are there to see Huey, and 100% of the people are there to see Vasco Rossi. So don't ever, ever think that that's your crowd. Yeah, you get your fans, you get people that like you, but it's not. You're just working. And so I got that, and that's helped me in work, and I think it helped me in often. Well, let me just say, on a side note, in personal life, I found that this easy to get along with Stef Burns is not always helpful to me, because in professional, it's perfect.
Yes, in your profession,
yeah. And in personal life, it's also good, but to a certain extent, especially with relationships. Yeah. If I'm in a relationship where I tend to just, it's good, however you want to do it, I'm good. And what happens is I tend to lose myself a little bit. Yeah. So I love that there's a give and take in a relationship, and I tended to, I think, not stand up for what I believed in.
Not take care of yourself.
Yeah, not take care of myself.
Yeah. That's common. I've talked to I think a lot of people struggle with that, as far as like, you want to be nice, but you want to be fair, and being fair means being fair to them and you
and yourself. Yeah.
And that's a tough thing for a lot of people. I hear that very, very often.
Okay. Well, you know what? There's still time. I'm still working on it.
Oh man, are you kidding? Yeah, we're all. Dude, you're lucky you're not completely nutty, because your dad was a psychologist. Usually, like what is it? The cobbler's kids never have any shoes, kind of thing, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually, like when you have parents that are sort of like academic. Yeah. In practice like that, you're kind of like nutty. So you're whatever you did is okay.
Luckily, I think he was a real kind of like learn to live your own life as you live it. He's there to offer guidance when I wanted it. And so it was really not a clinical kind of guy.
That's great.
Not analytical either, or
That's
critical.
Great. That's very good.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about gear for a few minutes. Tell me, what's your go-to guitar? And I got to tell you, Stef's been cuddling this guitar since we got on the. Yeah. That's it, man. I was hoping you'd pull that out, because I see that looks so good. So it's like tell me what it is.
Nobody can see.
Oh, it's a beautiful. It's a
91.
Canary yellow.
What is it?
Is that canary yellow or something like that?
It got yellower over time. I think that the real color is this one here, and it's kind of like an Arctic white or something.
Yeah.
But it became really yellow. It's got that nitro finish, and it was a particular kind of nitro finish that aged extra rapidly. So it's a 91 guitar. It was just brand new when I got it. There was not a scratch on it. And it just started to age like the painting in the Dorian Gray. And so it's an
HSS Strat.
I guess that's the kind of thing just because of the setup.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was playing like Kramer's and my Les Paul and stuff in the 80s with like Michael Bolton and then even on into Alice Cooper. I had a couple of custom Kramer's with the Dan Ransom neck, a guy from the Bay Area. And then I had one Strat. Anyway, so the guys at Fender, when I got the Alice Cooper gig, said, "Hey, we want to make you a guitar." I'm like, "Hey, I love Fenders, but it's all hard rock. I need a humbucking, you know." And then they said, "Well, we'll make one for you, and we'll put a coil tap on it." And they had all the new '90s Jeff Beck that was using all these kinds of bridges and roller nuts and locking tuners, and it was like I could use the bar, and it stays in tune, and it does. So I had a Floyd Rose on my Kramer and stuff like that, and I went to this guitar, and it became my favorite guitar ever. And I just, And
it's a beautiful, looks like a rosewood neck from here, not ebony, or is it ebony? Yeah, it looks beautiful. It's really dark. I love dark woods.
And I think it's just, it just became a great player, and plays in tune most of the time. And
what kind of strap locks is that?
These are the Dunlop.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Strap locks.
Yeah.
The locking tuners that these are Fenders, the newer ones. The older ones were Schallers or Schecters or something. I don't know. I'm really bad with this stuff. I usually don't know anything. It's
beautiful. Hey, man, you know how to play. I would trade that. You can know all the gear knowledge in the world. Great. Okay, now pick up the guitar,
Right, yeah, right. I always admired those guys that had both of that, But this is the Seymour Duncan, Jeff Beck humbucking that when they came out, I started to use those a lot. I put it on my Les Paul and everything, and then the Texas Specials, and the same guy who made this guitar, Larry Brooks, made some Strats for Stevie Ray Vaughan too.
Oh, very cool.
And I always thought that was pretty cool. Somehow I feel connected to Stevie Ray.
Yeah, of course. That's a beautiful guitar, man. I always see you playing it. It looks so freaking cool. I was hoping you'd get a look at that. What would be number 2 and number 3?
Probably number 2 is my Les Paul. It's a 68 custom, and I play that one an awful lot. If I have to bring 2 guitars, I bring these 2. Then I have another one like this Strat that's a white one and a black one. They're all, kind of custom shop Strats. The necks are a little bit differently shaped and same pickup configuration. And then I have a new SG that I love that my friend Tal Morris, another great guitar player who you might want to be interested to check out. He played with Sons of Chaplin and Creedence Clearwater Revisited for years, cool. And also with Huey Lewis, he was subbing for me for a while too, and he's a great friend and a great guitar player, Tal Morris. And he sold me an incredible 2002 SG TV Yellow that used to belong to Michael Landau.
Oh, that's pretty freaking cool.
That's a nice little guitar. I've been playing that one.
I didn't know they had those in TV Yellow SGs.
I had never seen one. It's a custom. I think it's a custom shop, maybe.
Yeah, I think it has to be. I've never seen. I love TV Yellow. It's like one of my favorite colors for the Gibson line. That's really cool. What that Les Paul you have, is that a reissue, 68 custom reissue, or is that an actual 68?
It's a 68.
Oh, very cool, man. Yeah. Does it weigh a ton?
No, it doesn't. It does in the case here, but basically, it's just. I bought this in '83 from Leo's Music, and from a guy that worked at Leo's Music.
That's really cool. So it's just a black beauty, no covers, black pickups. Man, that looks great. It's 68.
Yeah, 68. I probably shouldn't bring it around with me. And
that neck looks gorgeous. It's a little wear on the back, but man, it's got nice binding. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, the binding's still good.
Yeah,
of course it has the cracked headstock like most Les Pauls at this time do. But it's probably the strongest part of the guitar. This one I played on so many songs on Alice Cooper records and on Y&T records and Vasco Rossi records.
That's an ebony neck, it looks like, too, isn't it?
Yeah. Ebony fingerboard. and I believe the guitar is mahogany, but I'm not sure. But it's pretty light for a Les Paul. I've held some heavier Les Pauls that are impossible to carry around.
That's a beautiful guitar, man.
Thanks.
What are you playing out of amp-wise most of the time?
I've been using for years the Marshall JCM 900s. Early 90s, late 80s kind of amp, and then I have them customized by a guy here in Modena, Italy. His name is Massimo Mantovani, and he does great modifications. He built me pedal boards and stuff too. And I have a Fender DeVille. I use the DeVilles, and I've used them a lot too. Different kinds of distortion pedals to use the DeVille, because the distortion in the DeVilles sucks.
Is that an older DeVille or?
No, new. Yeah. I have an older one too. Older meaning whenever they were 90 something, but the newer one, I have the newer ones here. And so they just work good. I love those. And the Marshalls, I play through either 412 or 212 Marshall bottoms. And I have up until a while been using, since the 80s, been using the Alesis Quadraverb.
What is that?
It's just a multi-effects rack-mounted thing, and digital effects, and it's just such a funny thing because it's like, what? Use a quadraverb? I mean, how do you even find them? And I would go on eBay and videos and just buy them up because I knew how to use them, and they're easy and they seem to sound good, but they're not reliable. And I think I'm gonna move on. I'm also think I'm gonna move on for another reason: is that all my shit just got stolen.
You're kidding?
No guitars, luckily, but out of my garage here in Milan, both of my Marshall heads, both of my Marshall cabinets, all three of my pedal boards, a big pedal board that I use with Vasco that has everything on there, the whammy and a bunch of TC pedals and everything, and a smaller pedal board, and all this stuff got stolen. So I was like, all right, this is my time to get into a new style of thing. The police are still looking for the stuff. I don't know how they got in there, but
sorry, man, that sucks. It's always like an invasive. You feel like talk about getting in your personal space, man. Yeah,
I mean, I had it's like the Marshall heads and the cabinets are one thing, but your pedal boards, you put them together, design them with your guy. And a funny thing that I think about that breaks my heart the most is a leather backpack that just has like picks and cables and some pedals in it. But I love that backpack.
No, I totally get it. I have little things like that are just like, for some wacky reason that, like a baseball cap that I love or something. Yeah.
It's like, damn, they took and they took my Christmas tree. I had a plastic Christmas tree in my garage.
Fuckers.
They fucking took the Christmas tree. That's for me and my daughter, man. It's like, you can keep the Marshalls, but I'm going to come and find you and kick your ass for taking my Christmas tree.
That's right. Let's out these bitches. If anybody knows, report them to us immediately.
Yes. Milan police, please. Let the Milan police that where my gear is.
Well, that sucks, man. Sorry you had to deal with that. That really sucks.
That's all right. Nobody got hurt and no guitar stolen. And, I'll do some more gigs and get some more gear and it'll be all right.
Yeah. I guess you got to look at it, it's get new gear. Is it tough to get good gear in Italy? Like, is there a lot of stores?
No, I'll go to the distributor and the Marshall distributor and get some Marshall gear. And you go to distributors and they usually either you do an endorsement and they'll give it to you, or you get an artist deal or something, or some stuff you just go and buy even on eBay, or a thing that's like eBay that's called Mercatino Musicale, which is the music market.
Oh, it's like Reverb except in Italy.
Right.
Yeah,
buying gear online. Exactly.
That's very cool. Hey, name a couple of other players you've enjoyed jamming with, guitarists or bass players, whatever.
Well, besides jamming with Joe and Steve, which is always amazing. Oh boy. Well, oh man. My mind just starts flying around to all these different players and different times. Guys are great. I mean, always. I've been real fortunate to play with just great bands. Playing with Alice Cooper, with Eric Singer, Derek Sherinian, Greg Smith. That rhythm section was pretty amazing. Playing with Huey Lewis, with John Pierce on bass and Bill Gibson on drums has been another one of my great rhythm sections I love playing with. Y&T. Y&T was a great learning thing for me because I played mostly rhythm guitar. I had a few solos each night, and we did some double guitar features and stuff. But Dave Meniketti, YNT, always, he's the soloist, the main soloist. So it was me and Phil Kennemore and either Jimmy DeGrasso or Mike Vanderhul on drums, or even Leonard Hayes. And just getting into being a part of a rock rhythm section is really something. People sometimes underestimate the beauty and power of just playing 8-note crunches, with a great bass player and drummer. It's like, whatever you're playing, rhythm guitar. I always tell people in my clinics and stuff that don't forget the most important thing you'll ever do is be a great rhythm guitarist.
What, do you do a lot of clinics?
Yeah, in Italy I do a lot of clinics. Yeah, and I enjoy doing that too.
Do you post that on your Instagram when you do one?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Definitely. Yeah, I haven't done any for a little while. I've been doing more shows and other things, but I'm going to get back into doing more clinics, I think, too. It's usually good to try to do I like doing like a little clinic tour. Last spring we put a bunch of clinics together and did like that.
Desert Island Discs, man. Give me your top
Desert
handful.
Island. Wow. Steely Dan for sure would be in there. I don't know which one I would choose if I had to pick one. Probably might be either Gaucho or Asia. And Desert Island. There would be some Ray Charles in there for sure. God, something really corny would be Frampton Comes Alive. Man, I don't really know. It's really tough. Hendrix Band of Gypsies.
That's like the most popular Hendrix record that people cite.
Oh man, for me, it just was like a whole new thing for him. Playing with Buddy Miles and those halftime funk grooves that he got into. Oh man, too many. There might be a Pat Metheny record in there, and maybe even a Van Halen record.
Very cool, man. Thanks. What do you think is the best decision you've ever made, Stef?
Ooh, best decision I ever made was probably musically, probably to stay with Vasco and not stay with Alice. Though I don't know that because I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's kind of like you got to say that every decision I made is the best one because I can't even try to think for a second that we're having no idea what would have happened if I had made a different decision.
Sure, totally. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Something or someone you miss from your childhood?
Well, I miss the simplicity and growing up in Walnut Creek, and I miss that feeling of like, just how cool the simple things were, and the smell of the street, after it rains and you wake up in the morning going to school, all those little things, my childhood memories, being up in the mountains and nature and stuff. I miss that. I need to get more. I'm in the city now and it's like, okay, I got to get myself out of Milan, get into the hills a little bit more, and the hills and the sea, but mostly the hills. I'm more of a mountain guy. I love the sea. I love the beach, but I love more being in the mountains. So I think I'll try to get a little bit more of that in there.
Is there a lot of mountains in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, if you go just an hour and a half north, you're in the Alps.
Oh, okay.
So Switzerland is right here, France, and all of northern Italy, and all the way over in between Austria and northern Italy is all the Dolomiti, that part of the Alps over there. I don't know if they call them Alps anymore over there, but Dolomites. And there's plenty. And then all through the center of Italy, there's more mountains and there's a lot of hills. So there's plenty of places to go hiking and stuff like that. I'm going to get out there.
That's cool. Most people from the West are very into because you grew up around there, nature and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh
yeah. I mean, when I growing up in Walnut Creek, all those hills, I mean, it was still orchards and hills. And there was Mount Diablo and all the hills and around Mount Diablo. That's where I grew up. So it's not. And then we used to go up to Lake Tahoe and around there, Desolation Wilderness, Echo Lake, places like that was part of my childhood.
That's cool, man. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
Mostly it's just
and women.
Hanging with, yeah. Music, women. My daughter is like stuff whenever it's like whenever we get to be together, which is, almost half the time.
Yeah.
It's just about doing fun stuff together and having new experiences. And I get to go around, the Milan or areas, there's tons of great museums for kids and fun stuff, hands-on stuff that we just have a ball. Other hobbies, I used to ride a motorcycle, but I don't really anymore. And this city does not make me feel like riding a motorcycle at all.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It's just too scary. I like riding bicycles and playing piano. That counts as music, and different kinds of sports and things like that.
What's big sport in Italy? Soccer, I would imagine. No.
Yeah, soccer is. And so me and Jamie, my daughter, we play soccer in the house. Or sometimes we'll go out into a field and play. But I just like to, I like skiing and maybe shooting baskets and stuff like that.
Cool. What's you've been all over the
other main hobby that I never do anymore was scuba diving. And I miss that too.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I did that for a while.
Yeah, I got to get back into that. I got to get myself into some warm water though.
Yeah. It's funny when I went on my honeymoon, we actually got married in Hawaii and we go in the water. It was cold. And she told us, she goes, "Are you guys live in Florida?" I'm like, yeah. She goes, "You're the only people that think this water's cold."
Yeah, it's true, man. The Florida water is warm. Yeah. And me being from, San Francisco, going to the water in Santa Cruz.
It's cold there, isn't it?
Cold.
Yeah.
Cold. And Hawaii is warm. It was warm for me too, yeah. But then you go to the Caribbean or Cancun and the water's even warmer.
Yeah, very. What's your favorite place you've traveled, man? You've been all over, literally.
Oh man, it depends. I mean, if I'm going somewhere for work, that's one thing. I mean, with Huey Lewis, for a long time, we were doing corporate gigs in places like St. Martin, Puerto Rico, or the Big Island, Hawaii, And then there was the big crash. The economy crashed a couple times in the 2000s. And each time it was like all the companies cut back. And so all the corporate gigs moved to Las Vegas and Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Instead of, the Caribbean or Hawaii or something. So those were always, I love that. I love Hawaii. If I'm going for work, I love going honestly, going up and traveling into Germany, because even that was just a ball, But I usually tend to love warm tropical places like most people. So yeah. I'll take Hawaii.
Yeah, I love Hawaii. It's awesome. The people are wonderful there.
Yeah.
Hey, talk about a specific experience that changed your life or changed the way you think about things.
Specific experiences?
A specific experience that changed the way you think about things or changed your life. And chances are you've had a bunch of them, not just one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, of course, when my sons, having my two sons, I too have a son that's going to be, he's going to be 29 this year.
Oh, same age.
Yeah. And his name is Taylor. And when Taylor was born, that changed my way of looking at everything. My firstborn son. And I have another son who's 24. His name is Woody. And
those are very like California names.
Yeah.
Yeah, very like, San Francisco kind of.
They could have been Brandon and Kirby and something like that, but at least they're Taylor and Woody. And now having a daughter, that changed everything too. Having sons is different from having a daughter.
Very much.
As everyone knows. So having kids, getting married changed my life a lot. Getting divorced, even more so.
Yeah.
So, that's it. I think it's just the main things like that, Everything else has been more about work and more normal stuff. But having kids and, getting married and breaking up, those things really, really kind of shake you up to take a look at your life,
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 more questions, and I really appreciate your time. Toughest decision you've had to make, and you might have just said, or most difficult thing you had to do. Maybe it was going through divorce. I don't know.
Yeah, that's for sure the most difficult thing I've ever gone through, without a doubt. And honestly, I'm still going through it. So I'm ready to kind of.
You ready to finish going through it?
I'm finished going through that. Hey, we were talking before about like gifts. It's all something to learn from, and it's all gifts. Like, when is this Christmas going to end? I'm kind of done with these gifts. More gifts. I prefer not to learn anymore. So that's just life-changing things. But shit, I forgot the question. It was about
hardest thing or most difficult thing you've had to do.
Oh, I had to do. Yeah. Well, that was it. That was
divorce. Yeah.
Difficult thing. But decision to make. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't come up with something right now. Most difficult decision.
No, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
And last question, dude, biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and has that change been intentional and deliberate, or something that just naturally happened as a part of aging?
I would say whatever's happened as far as my personality has been just because of the passage of time, because I feel like I'm still the same personality general that I always had. I had to learn, change my behavior, and I had to learn how to change my way of thinking about things. But my personality always is kind of remained the same. Yeah. That's actually
really good. Means you're probably comfortable with who you are for a long time now, which is great.
Yeah, I am. I have been, but I have to learn to stay comfortable with who I am when I'm around beautiful women. Because these beautiful women will make you want to make sure that they like you. And so you try to be what maybe you think they want you to be. And then you try to be someone that you're not, and then you're in trouble.
You need a 12-step. My name is Stef, and I'm addicted to women.
I totally do.
And it doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm here to be open.
Hey, man. I can't thank you enough. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I'd love to, have you back on the show when your record comes out. That would be really cool to talk about that and listen to some of it.
I would love it.
Let me tell people where to find you. It's Stef Burns, Stef Burns, Burns. He's on Instagram at Stef Burns Official, Facebook Stef Burns Official. Having a brain fart there. Check out his Roots and Wings. When was that? When did that come out?
Roots and Wings came out, I think, in 2014. So a lot of years passed by on that one. I'm really proud of that album. It was a departure from my first album, which was all instrumental, more of a rock fusion. And then the second one with Pepino was all instrumental. And then I did an album that was half and half, World, Universe, Infinity. And this one is only 2 instrumentals. So I still kept in touch with my fusion roots, let's say, but got more into more of a modern rock. I don't know how to call it in modern, because modern is, to me, sort of means everything, but a rock album. And got into writing lyrics, got into trying to sing better. Hey, I'm not a great singer. I may not even be a good singer. I don't know, but I like to sing.
You have a great, I told you, that's the first thing I said to you. You got a great voice, man. It's like, boom, I'm sure you're a great singer.
Well, I don't think so, but I sure like to sing. And sometimes I feel like I come up with something good and I like it. But it's always been out of my wheelhouse, so to speak. And that's been to push myself, write lyrics and try to sing better. And, so my point is that I like this record a lot. It's got a lot of interesting things. It's got some orchestral stuff on there, some cinematic kind of vibe going on. There's some Beatley influences. There's some Queen influences. There's a little bit of Todd Rundgren in everything I do, and Led Zeppelin, and so that's Roots and Wings. I also had a lot of stuff going on with my family, my new family at that time in 2000. I was working on that in 2012 and 13, and my daughter is a big influence on that record too. So it's it's good. Check it out if you can find it. Anybody? Roots and Wings.
Wings by Stef Burns, and it's really cool.
Stef Burns League.
Stef Burns.
That point, I was calling my band Stef Burns League.
League. Okay. Stef Burns League, League.
Right.
It's always cool. You always put nice pictures of your daughter on Instagram. I see. It's nice to see that. You can see you're having a good time with her. That's always cool.
Oh yeah. I'm so proud of her. I'm totally in love with her.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Gigs, local gigs in Italy when you're doing, or Switzerland or out of, in Europe, you post that on your Instagram as well?
Yeah. Coming up, I have a couple of really nice things, doing a Pink Floyd tribute down in Sicily. Yeah. So we just got a whole long, David Gilmour experience for me. I've done it a couple of times and I love it. And this is in Sicily, one in Palermo and the other one in Agrigento. It's called Canicattì, a smaller town. And then I go and do another a classic rock kind of tribute band in Gallipoli, which is in the other part of southern Italy.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. Then I got a gig coming up in Milan on April 4th with a jazz trio. So
you're all over the board. Genre-wise, that's great.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. And these guys are just beasts. The other guy that I play with in that band is Fabio Valdemarin. And he became really known, even in L.A., for being the Gotta Match guy, because he did a recording of Chick Corea's Gotta Match where he played all the instruments and did that kind of thing when it was sort of new to do that on YouTube. And Fabio, and it's spelled Valdemarin, Valdemarin. He's a beastly keyboard player, but also plays bass and drums and guitar and trumpet. He's a bastard. He just does everything. It's kind of like Jeff Babco in that way.
I'm going to check that out. And then Vasco Rossi, when does that tour start?
That starts June 1. Actually, the very end of May, we do a couple of sort of warm-up shows near Venice, Italy, and then the rest are in Milan, Italy, and 2 in Sardinia, down in southern Sardinia, where I'll get a nice weekend anyway to catch some sun and jump the sea,
Does he tour over here in the States ever?
No, I don't think he ever really has. He lives in L.A. half the year, but we toured through Europe a couple of times, and mostly, we did London and Brussels and Berlin and Zurich, but he just stays in Italy now.
That's his base.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be hard. I mean, when you're selling out 6 nights of 70,000, and then you're going to come to the States and hope you sell out a club of 1,500. I could see the I could see the lack of appeal of doing that, man. So,
exactly.
Well, dude, I really enjoyed this. Let's stay in contact, and thanks for everything. And let me know if I could ever help you, man. And everybody check out Stef Burns. He's an awesome guitar player. And go check out, if nothing else, please go look up the song called Mepukori, Mepukori. It's Stef on there, trading solos with Lyle Workman. It is fucking really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So
right on, man.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks everyone for listening to me about my boring life.
No, it's all good. We're all freaking works in process. Trust me. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this interview, share it with a friend on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks to Stef Burns for spending time with us. Please check out his music. It's Stef, Stef Burns, Burns, and hit him up on social media at Stef Burns Official on all the proper places. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com, sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice. That's for you, Stef Burns. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.